Good day and welcome back to another World of Warcraft video. In this video we're going to talk about the best classes for Mythic Plus. We're going to break them down into healing, DPS and tanking. It's super important to understand that honestly, play whatever class you want for Mythic Plus. These kind of lists are just for people who are interested in the meta, talking about top classes, maybe looking for a change. Every class is viable if you put enough effort into your gear, to your gearing, to everything involved in the process. So don't panic if you don't have a top tier class. So let's start with DPS. So we have some top DPS: Frost DK, Unholy DK, Havoc Demon Hunter, Frost Mage, Affliction Warlock, Arcane Mage, and Assassination Rogue. It's fairly simple, but we'll go through each of them kind of a bit more detail. Assassination Rogue is just a very good fit for the current meta. They have some really solid addition. They can do some really good single target damage, and with how tanky bosses can get, it just is really good to have on hand. Arcane Mage have very consistent damage output. They have a lot of reliability. They do have a little bit of kind of like a burst. But they do really, kind of show up when you move to higher keys and you want to kind of burst down specific targets. Really, that's where things start to shine. They don't look too great early on, but as they gear up and as they spec up, they start to look really good. Frost DK is just a good pick. They have good burst for single and AoE. They are able to deal priority damage, and they're not the most dominant DPS spec, but they are very good. Unholy DK follows the same principle, basically with great single target and some burst AoE. It's really strong. Havoc Demon Hunter is probably really good if you talk about utility, right? They have good buffs, they have good control, much like the tanking spec. They have a lot they can provide you in terms of tools, and I think that's something that's very important. Then finally we have the two spellcasters, or two more spellcasters. We have Frost Mage, which has excellent burst damage, sustained AoE, but also it's just really good, obviously, with all of the kind of like sustain abilities, ice block, things like that just let you kind of live. And then also obviously you can give Arcane Intellect to the rest of the party. Then you have Affliction Warlock. Really, it's Malefic Rupture, which is something that's really good, because it allows you to turn single target damage into AoE damage, which is really solid. And then in Resolve, Demon Skin, Dark Pact will make them fairly tanky. So yeah, I think that's a pretty good DPS tier list. When it comes to healers, there's three main healers that are kind of like the standouts. We've got Restoration Druid, Discipline Priest, and Restoration Shaman. Resto Druid is just always really good. They have a great new set bonus, which is really solid. They have good crowd control with things like Entangle, and basically they just have a nice kit for smaller groups. Like Resto Druid's one of those ones that's never really felt comfortable in a raid. In a smaller party where you're able to identify targets more easily and you have less targets to kind of keep up, your powerful HOTS, heals over time, are always something that's very valuable. Disc Priest is always one of those ones that's either up or down. Disc Priest is either one of the best in the game or it's one of the worst. Really what is big is the fact that they have some quite significant changes. So they have Mind Blast and Penance Stare becoming, or Penance Stare, sorry, that's a Ghost Rider move. But they have Penance and they have Mind Blast becoming far more important, which is very important. And they have a lot of great utility. They have Pain Suppression, Powered Barrier. So they're in a good spot right now, which kind of makes them a top pick. Then we have Resto Shaman. So Resto Druid, Resto Shaman. We have some adjustments to things like Mana Tide, Totem, and Ancestral Cooldown. And they just help to, kind of make it a little bit more viable. Resto Shaman has great healing output, but there is a little bit of mana concerns around it. So it's one of those classes that I think is still very, very good. But if you're not familiar with it and you don't maybe have the right kind of stats or gearing or buffs, you can feel a little bit overwhelmed by the mana requirements. Now we'll talk about the tanks. So to cut a long story short, the two main tanks for the mythics are going to be Vengeance Demon Hunter. Always, they've been very strong throughout the whole expansion. They have a bit of a better durability due to the changes in their skills and their tier set bonus. But really, what makes the Demon Hunter spec so great for Mythic Plus is because of the size of the mobs, the packs, the constant moving, the mapping, the movement, and their fear, silence, AoE silencing, AoE fear, AoE stunning, AoE chaining, AoE slowing. It just makes them very good. When you have decent damage output, when they can heal and remain relatively tanky, but when they're providing AoE seals and AoE stuns and AoE silences, it's just going to be a class that's always going to thrive in that Mythic Plus environment. And then Protection Pally looks to be very, very good. They are very, very strong. They have solid DPS output, but it's really that they just very, very, very good in terms of mob control. Shield toss, all those sort of things where you can just interrupt multiple packs, interrupt enemies whilst also drawing aggro. You have still your heals, you have your wards, you have your buffs, you have your blessings. It's just a very powerful class, especially in, like, again, these small environments where in a raid it's impractical for a paladin to lay on hands or heal or do these things because there's too many moving parts. But in a group of 5 players, to have someone who can lay on hands or heal or do things like that is always going to be super helpful. But yeah, that's it from me. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know if you have any thoughts and opinions. And like I said, it's not about the fact that this is my opinion on where these units are ranked. It's more just about talking about some really good options for players to utilize, why they should. If you have better suggestions or you just want to suggest a character or a class or anything like that, please do. It's always great to hear feedback from you guys and what you are suggesting. Good day.